I'm Dr. Thuy, and I'm Jenna Stewart. Welcome to the Sex Matters, where we explore the intricate connections between sexuality, power, and personal growth. In this episode, we'll dive into the transformative power of evocative psychotherapy. Join us as we uncover how confronting our deepest vulnerabilities can lead to profound change in relationships and sexual experiences. Well, welcome, everyone. Let's do first names and why you're here.
I'm Michael. I am here because I'm so deeply committed to this work. So I'm coming in without a lot of expectations, but hoping to better understand inner Michael, child Michael, and give him the nourishment that I maybe felt like I lacked.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I'm Kathy. I'm here to see what comes next. I've, been on this journey a long time, and I got a little bit of a taste of what is possible, and I want more of it. I just want to see what I'm capable of, what I'm capable of achieving. There's just so much ahead, and I can't wait to see what happens.
I'm Peter, and a lot of reasons why I'm here.
I want them all.
To distill it down, I think the way I survived and got ahead and had success actually set me up to be trapped and recreating situations, interpersonal situations and relationships that didn't work. So high competency. If I don't do it, no one else will. Well, I create a situation where I'm doing the work and I'm not getting anything back. And in that, there's a little deprivation. And so I have no idea that I'm doing this when I'm walking into a situation. So I think part of what I want to do is begin to understand, these are the thoughts and ideas as I walk into a situation. I meet somebody. All of a sudden, I'm taking care of everything. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm not getting anything back. And I think, this is going to work. And yet I'm deeply unhappy. And how do I change that dynamic?
Beautiful.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I have lived a limited life by myself. I have put this governor on my thoughts, my emotions, and it's not very full. And I'm moving into a different quarter of my life where I want to actually feel fully and to be able to give things over to somebody. I've hidden behind a shell of intellect and non-emotion, and it's really hollow and it's really lonely. And I'm tired of that. And I know that putting on a show to make it look good for friends or the community just wasn't very fulfilling. And I feel like a fraud at times that I've done that, and would rather be honest now and live a full life. I mean, it brings up a lot of emotion to think about my family and what we have a great life, but I'd rather have a fuller life at this moment.
Beautiful. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're working on this concept of sexuality and power. And I wanted to start off with a demo. So in terms of the work that we do, oftentimes people will say that we want you to change, right? So you come into therapy and you hear this idea, like, I want to change. So tell me about that as in terms of when you came and started doing this work. What was your concept of what you were going to change?
I wanted to work on letting some feelings out and understanding my depression more.
Okay. So the change was about what?
Getting comfortable with myself, learning about myself.
Okay. Anything else?
That was the start. Now it's about getting comfortable with my sexuality for sure.
Great. What about for you, Kathy?
I think initially for me, it was about figuring out what I was doing wrong
Mhm.
so that I could change that and do it right, whatever
Right.
that means.
Common.
Yeah, I think now it's more just about discovering my sexuality and embracing it and really enjoying myself.
Great. What about you, Peter?
Initially, um, I came because I thought I was grieving loss. And then it became very clear about divorce and needing to confront that. And then it was all of those things that I was doing keeping me in situations and relationships that did not work. And I didn't understand how to get out of it.
Right. Thank you. Jamie?
Initially, I came to support somebody else, and I realized through the process that I had numbed myself to my feelings, and I couldn't express them effectively. It was not uncommon to hear the phrase, "You're really angry," and denying what my emotions really were. And now I'm trying to work through um, coming to grips with um, sexuality and it being okay to be able to express it in a caring, kind way.
Beautiful. So, evocative psychotherapy is designed to show, not tell, the way that we work. Part of what makes this so powerful in this modern threesome, in this dynamic, is the triadic way to work. We've done it without a sexual surrogate, but because we're looking at issues around sexuality, those are all very much body-based, right? So there's a difference between saying, well, what's it like when you sit down with a person that you're attracted to? What happens to you? Now, you can describe that to me, and you might do a really good job. But when it's happening in real time, you're going to be going through a cognitive process that is not necessarily one that you can control or understand or even evaluate. But if I put you in our sex lab, our experimental space where we are looking at these things in real time, I'll know exactly what that is, which is sometimes a wonderful thing for you guys and sometimes deeply vulnerable, a little bit embarrassing. It might even be arousing, God forbid. But if it is, what I want you to do is just embrace it. So we're here more than anything to have a really, really, what I would say is transformative experience. So I wanted you to take a moment and I want to introduce the concept about Jenna and sexual surrogacy. And I want you to hear her concepts about what that is and what it means to her, because the trust between the two of us will extend to what we do as a group together. So Jenna, how would you describe
Good morning.
what you feel is significant about the way that we're working and specifically how you see this relationship with sexual partnering in a surrogacy role?
I think, my work I've been a dancer my whole life, so my mind body connection has been developed over time. And I can be in a situation with someone and understand, like, I'm here in the moment with you guys, or whoever is there with me. And I can feel energy. I'm empathic, so I kind of sense if there's nervousness. I sense if there's like apprehension. Um, and I'm open to whoever is there to receive the energy that they're giving me so that I can respond accordingly for you guys to help you guys really get into your bodies and feel comfortable that I'm not a stranger. I'm here for you. I think that it's hard in a situation, say dating. You're with someone that you are attracted to, it's new for you, and there's a lot going on in your head, right? And fair. In this situation, we both have the understanding that it's an open space for you to practice, to feel comfortable without judgment with somebody who's there working with you and not a stranger that also has something going on. You get to practice in real time with another human being versus talk therapy. Having a surrogate in the room with you and a doctor, Dr. Thuy helping, it's like what could happen in 5-10 years of talk therapy is like happening right now. You're feeling it, you're using it, you're getting it out. It's ejecting whatever that trauma is coming out in a safe space with another human being.
The Sex Lab is a separate space in which we work on experimental kinds of, what I would say, exercises that relate specifically to sexuality. We will do more of the experiential exercises here or demonstrations kind of in the room, but the specifics of the Sex Lab are as such. Jenna will be going into the Sex Lab and she tends to set up there, so she will be the first person that will be there. We will, as a group, depending on whoever is working, is going to get very clear instruction. When Jenna goes into the Sex Lab and there's something specific that she's working with each of you, she gets a therapeutic prescription as to what are the objectives of that particular session. So we don't deviate from that because that is a very specific task that I'm wanting for us to observe. Now, if you do deviate from that, which you might, which would be fine, because what that tells me is we're going to have a conversation about boundaries, right? And that's wonderful because we want to have conversations about boundaries because boundaries are really important for us in this kind of work. The main thing that we care about in this space is each of you and creating a safe space for you to explore, not just emotionally, but physically. And so if I notice that something is happening and that safety in whatever way, if you're a little bit nervous, if you need a little bit more, we'll be drawing those moments out, okay, and really talking about them. So to this idea of change, this is a version of a circle, right? So what people like to talk about is when they change, the source of the change comes from taking that thing and altering it in some ways. That's what kind of change actually is. It's taking the same thing, but making it then something else. So something else could be that we take a circle and it gets smaller. Still is a circle, right? And sometimes this is what you start off with and you want it to be bigger and you think bigger is better. Or this is what you think it is and it's so big and you want it to be smaller. But at the core, there's still circle. There isn't actually what we want there to be, which is transformation. There's just a change from one thing to the same thing, just in a different configuration. And the problem with that is it doesn't last. So imagine if you were this and your cognitive thought was, I am fat, right? Or I am dumb, or I am unsuccessful. Whatever that is, if you make it bigger, if you make it smaller, if you alter it, the concept is it goes back to this in a matter of time. So what am I actually looking for? And what have you all actually demonstrated? I want to change this to something completely different, but recognizable. I want change to turn into what I would call is transformation. So you see the elements that are similar, but this is a completely different thing. It's three-dimensional. It has a different weight. It has a whole different feel to it. Thinking about how you go from this to this versus this to this is the foundation of what our work is based on. And whether we're here in group or whether we're in the sex lab, what I want is to encourage you and to set up conditions that you don't just change, that you fully transform. Tell me about ways that you have not just changed, but transformed.
I used to hide all of my emotions, the good and bad. I could only have good emotions come out. It could only be, it was a limited range. I could be happy or I could be neutral. There's nothing in between. And at this point, I'm realizing my emotional vocabulary is much larger. And some days I might be sad. Some days I could be mad. And it doesn't have to define the whole day. It's just, that's what I am in this moment. And that's a huge transformation.
What we're going to be talking about is sexuality and power. And the concept around this is that where there is power, there's less love. So love is significant in our lives, but when there are power dynamics that we're not aware of, they can impair that. So if I am in a relationship with someone, but I want them to be a certain way, right? That's a dynamic of power because I'm not exactly accepting what is. I'm wanting to turn them into something. I'm projecting onto them what they should be or what I need. And we want to explore these issues of power and sexuality and love because there's an interplay that when the power is too present, it impacts the intimacy. So this segment was really inspired by a couple, and this a client, he was cheating, previously in the relationship, but he's been perfect for 4 years. But he's still, as he would say, in the doghouse. And he was still, as he would say, has a really tight leash. And I wanted to talk to you all about what is a leash and collar used for on a dog?
Control.
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 Yeah, restraint. What else?
Direction.
Direction.
Keep them in line.
Keep them in line. Anything else?
Keeping in line, punishment, pull them back. Yeah.
Great. So you kind of start to get a feel of this. Anything that you want to share?
I was in the doghouse. I'm going to share that. I was in a situation with my ex, and it was a Christmas party, and I'd had a little too much to drink because it was a Christmas party, and I hadn't met a lot of these people, and we were on a boat, and everybody was drinking. I wasn't wasted, but he didn't like that I was having too much fun. He didn't have the leash on me. He couldn't control that people were engaging with me and having fun. He wanted that to be him. And then I was on the peripheral, right? So the next morning I woke up and he wasn't there. And I went into the guest room and he's there and he was fuming. And I was in the doghouse for 2 weeks. He wouldn't answer my calls. He wouldn't answer me. I tried to come over after I'd gone home. I'm just I don't understand why. And it was so the feeling of being so small for something that is my natural behavior to be jolly and social and, charming because I like people and I like being social. And because he didn't like that power dynamic, then I got punished for. And that one really still is there with me. So I understand this doghouse. So that's why I'm excited to do it, is because I've been there. So it is not gender specific, woman to a man. It can be, the woman can be in the doghouse too.
Well, let's say between Jamie and Michael, who would you pick to work with you today?
I think Jamie.
Perfect. So you go get in the doghouse, and
Okay.
I want you in the doghouse.
Okay.
So when Jamie comes, a very specific prescription is no physical touch. And you want to watch whether or not there are any moments where he feels uncomfortable. And if he is, your work is not to save him in that uncomfortableness. You're going to sit down next to Jenna,
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Jenna.
Okay. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the collar and you're going to put it very gently over her head. And she is not to help you.
Don't help her help.
Don't help.
Don't help.
And
Where am
you
I
are
then?
to watch her hair and be really, really gentle. And then attach the leash to the collar. And you're going to start to pull the collar in a way that is tighter. So let's go this way.
Oh my gosh.
There. And this particular tension is the exact tension that I want
She won't break.
without any more in general, unless I'm clear about it. Okay. All right. Let's take a nice deep breath. What does that feel like to you?
I want to fight back. It's a wee bit claustrophobic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's making me. I'm getting warm, like I'm boiling, like I wanna fight.
And Jamie, for you?
It makes me feel uncomfortable. It reminds me of times that I've been in the doghouse and the feeling of powerlessness, convincing myself I deserved it for whatever transgression it was that forced me to be in the doghouse. And it doesn't really feel good to be on the other side.
Yes. And if you being on the other side, if you gave her just a little tug, what does that feel like to you?
I feel her resisting,
Right.
and there's a part of me that has a great deal of compassion. It wants to let go,
Yeah.
and that my shoulders want to rise up, and I'm feeling uncomfortable in my body along the way. And I'm trying not to look at Jenna because if I look at her, I feel more compassion, and I want to make it stop.
Okay. So let's do that. Let's look at each other and we're not going to make it stop. And I want you to just let yourself feel the feelings that you have, dropping your shoulders a bit, and just noticing that tension. There's something about this being in the doghouse or being the one with the power. It's important for you both to work through. Having compassion and just allowing that right hand, Jamie, to drop, just loosening that grip, right? There you go. And just noticing what that starts to do. So you both were able to breathe just very subtly, right? It's kind of opening up. What's happening?
It was too intense, so I looked away for a moment, and I'm trying to hang in there with it. The moving away from the power position to trying to be equal feels better. I don't want to overpower somebody. I don't need to overpower.
So let's allow for an equalizing experience, which is for Jenna, would you like to take that collar off or would you like Jamie to take it off for you?
I would like Jamie to take it off.
And then just moving a little bit closer to her. And without touching anything else except for her collar, taking that delicately, gently, carefully off.
Here, I'll take care.
Beautiful. So that nice sigh of relief. And now I just want you both take a moment, look at each other, I promise I won't do it so long that it's awkward. Or maybe I will. Let's see. And when you're ready, just letting each other know how you feel in the moment without that between you.
I feel relieved. I feel there's not a barrier there. I don't have to play a role. I don't have to be the authority. We can share something instead of, I'm going to tell you what to do, or you have to be told what to do.
A sense of equality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'm on the same team.
A sense of relief. I don't want those barriers.
And I don't want to feel like that from anybody.
Jamie, take your right hand and drop it on the other side of your body so it's relaxed. There you go. Perfect. There you go. And just take a nice deep breath together. And I'll see you guys back into the group room. As always, the concept around power, sexuality, you see how I'm starting to tie it together with things that come up in everyday life. So the things that we say, walking on eggshell, on a tight leash, all of those things are a certain way that we are living. And to draw consciousness to that is really, really important. And you can see how deliberate we are being in the sex lab, because what I'm looking for are nuances in what the body is trying to express. And that's what's really beautiful about this kind of work is instead of you telling me what it is, you're going to show me what it is, and then we're going to work on it. So, for example, what did you see in Jamie that was really important for him to notice?
Well, when you were discussing after the fact that you were feeling very open, your body language, you were still like all tensed up, your arms were crossed, and like the wall was still there, but you were speaking the words that you were open, but your body definitely was not reflecting that.
He was not comfortable exercising the power dynamic
Correct.
at all.
Even though he had it.
Even though he had it.
Yeah.
But he was not comfortable at all. Even though he was put in that position, he didn't create the situation.
Right.
That he were just very tense.
Right. That would be important for Jamie to then explore instead of him coming to me, because he may not know. The new work might be, how do I take more power in my life in a more comfortable way?
And coming back in the room, I had this realization that I'm afraid of my own power.
Yeah.
That, as you were saying, I was saying the words and I meant them, but my body wasn't really in tune with it. I was confused. I don't want this power, but now that I've got it, what am I supposed to do with that?
There's these two dynamics, right? Powerful or powerless. And we're asking you a question about, well, what are you stepping into?
Oh, I want to step into my real power, which is to stop pretending I don't want to have power.
Exactly. And do you see how this is what I want Jamie to be aware of? Instead of saying he's confused, he wants to say this to us. He wants to say that he's stepping into his power. And that's the accountability that we have with you, is not to be confused about that. It's clear that you want that. You're just not comfortable with it. So throughout the course of this work, we're going to move you into that. Just any other observations?
Trying to focus on Jenna, but I was distracting myself by trying to look at you off camera to save me along the way.
Yes.
I don't want to be in this position right now, because God forbid I actually like the power. How am I going to reconcile that?
And there's nothing wrong with you being in process with this. So it's not we want to get you there. It's not that there's something wrong with what is now. It is where you are developmentally in the moment, and we're going to handle it. And that's the beautifulness, is you don't have to be anything but what you were, and it was perfect.
Which, if I'm honest, was an adolescent person going, what the hell am I supposed to be doing in this moment here? Instead of a man saying, let's talk about power.
Well, that first statement is going to tell you about how you are in bed, right? So that's the really important thing that we're delineating here is, what am I actually doing? That orientation is how you will be presenting, even in a sexual context. Doesn't matter if you're chronologically a certain age. If your presence in your body, if your development sexually is more adolescent, you can perform and act, no problem, right? That's just mechanics. But is it what you all want? Does it have the connection, presence, sense of desire, reciprocity, pleasure? Does it have all the elements that are important to you and what you want in a mature, authentic, beautiful relationship? That's what you're discovering. Thank you for joining us on this eye-opening episode of The Sex Matters. We hope our exploration of power dynamics and sexuality has given you new insights into your own relationships and personal growth. Remember, true transformation comes from embracing all aspects of ourselves. Stay tuned for more thought-provoking discussions on sex, intimacy, and self-discovery in our upcoming episode.
It's always exciting working with Thuy. She's really intuitive, and we've built up a level of trust, which I'm not a very trusting person at all. And it's really relieving to have somebody that I can trust and I can share these thoughts with and these feelings with. I've worked with Thuy for a number of years, and this level of work that we're doing now is very different from the standard talk therapy. And I can feel myself taking a risk that I wouldn't have wanted to do before, which I'm pretty proud of myself for taking that leap.